Hi, everybody. I hope you're going well. I'm Joel speaking from Montreal, and I have a presentation for you today on user experience. I'll jump into the PowerPoint, so I got a few slides for you. This presentation, it's not the first time that I'm doing it. Every time I'm doing it, I always make some improvement, and I'm very so you have the latest and greatest, and I have to admit that the more I present it, and the more I love it. So you tell me if you don't agree. Anyhow, maximizing the impact of Power BI applications through improved user experience. Let's see. So first, I'm Joel. I am a manager of a small tribe of developers, and we deliver Fabric Power BI solutions in medium and large organizations. Some in Quebec and some in the rest of Canada. I've got a client, CDC, they do radiology in Alberta, so you may know them, the Canadian Diagnostic Centers. And I get some clients too in Europe, so that's what we do. I started as a financial analyst in 2006, and I discovered Power BI. It was in Excel, an Excel add-in, and back in 2013, I fell in love with it, and I'm doing that full time since 2013. So I had the opportunity to play and to deliver a lot of different Power BI projects, like I said, 30 organizations, but there are many departments in there. I worked, one of my big mandate was for 3 years to work at Desjardins. That's a big credit union in Quebec, where I was kind of the lead specialist Power BI in the Power BI Center of Excellence. And I'm the co-organizer of the Montreal Power BI user group. So just like the same kind of group we are discussing right now. We are on right now. So that's it. So let's start with my topic. And I'll start with an example of what not to do. So mastering the technical aspect of Power BI does not ensure the success of applications. And I present you this print screen, and that comes from the Microsoft Power BI, the community pages, where somebody tried to sell his services with that report. So that's a public report. And there's some common shortcoming, like the overall topic is unclear. So there's not even a title on the page. So we don't even know what it is about. We have to figure out, looking at various titles, what it is. And there's many items that had little or no value. So all these slicers are maybe great, perfect, complete, but they add no value to the actual, they don't provide any insights. Important information is not obvious, like which one of these, is it going well? When we look at the report, we don't know if it's going well or not. So that's something that might be improved in some later time. So you may see that kind of report in your organization often. You may see that often it is like large tables with 20 columns, and this is the report where people has to figure out. Basically the BI means Power BI generate a table, we download in Excel and then PowerPoint, and then we present to management. So that's quite common, and this is what we will talk about today. So mastering technical aspect does not make a successful application. So that we start with that. The next one, the user experience is a key success factor. I took this image from a research made in the HBR, the Harvard Business Review, where they compare different sites, and they come to the conclusion that to provide a medium user experience will generate some quantity of subscriber, and it was 3 in their analysis. And the more user experience get better, and the more it gets subscriber. And this is quite in line with what we experience on the web. The reason why we prefer, why Google was so successful compared to Yahoo is that it is easier. And the reason why ChatGPT took over the old version of Google. That's again because it's easier. So the user experience was better, and this is how they get to the top. So there's no similar study with Power BI, but it's likely that the user will respond positively to an enhanced user experience. So we start with that. The more we provide, the more the experience, the better it is, and the more usage there will be. And this is kind of the value of Power BI. I did my research, and I come to the conclusion that if developers don't take that much care about user experience, is that because they are not familiar. If they are not familiar with the concept, and if they are not familiar with the concept, that's because it's kind of nowhere. There's no specific documentation on user experience. So I look at many blogs, and I watch videos and blogs every day, and it's mostly technical. There may be, yes, on YouTube, on Guy in a Cube, some videos earlier, not anymore, I would say. So there was some videos back then. You may know datatraining.io. So Bass, the guy, present a great UX insights for specific visuals, but it tends to be complex, and it tends not to be applicable to a whole application. So it will be very specific to a visual. How to make a visual crazy good, he does that. How to make an application crazy good, it's not there at all. So that's my take on the literature around Power BI. So that's why, if I wanted to do a presentation to you, I had to look at somewhere else. And you'll see that I'd looked to many somewhere else during the presentation. So user experience is nowhere in the Power BI literature. So I look at what do they do for the web? Because for the web, those are actual jobs to do user experience and to improve it. So I went there and I discovered this concept of the 5 components of usability. And what it says is that if you can master these 5 components of usability, your user experience is likely to improve a lot. Let's have a look. Number 1, learnability. You have to make it easy for user to accomplish basic tasks the first time they encounter the design. That's the thing. Number 2, efficiency. So once users have learned the design, how quickly can they perform the task? Memorability. When the user returns to a design after a period of not using it, how easily can they reestablish proficiency? You have to take care about errors. How many errors do users make? How severe are they? How easily can they recover from it? So that's something you have to think about. And finally, satisfaction. It has to be a pleasant design. So this concept comes from Jacob Nielsen, and that guy is supposed to be a web guru for like 25 years. He writes books about it, how to make great websites. And I found that as Power BI is a website, and in my presentation, I will use these 5 components one by one and say how it applies with Power BI. So that's it. Let's continue with number 1, the learnability. Learnability, it's about the way I see it, how to make it easy for your user to learn your application. You have to create mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive content, so that will make your app easy to learn, which means that every KPI you got has to be presented and analyzed in one single page somewhere. Let's think about financial report here. So I created that financial report, and it has 3 pages for now: actual versus budget, actual versus last year, the forecast. The opportunities report has talk about new lead, the risk and opportunity, the sales planning. So anytime you, your colleagues or a manager needs to know what about these risk and opportunities in the sales, well, that's easy. There's only one page they can find it. And finally, where's my damn report? That's easily because there's only one application where somebody should look at for their reports. So forget about sometimes you go in a workspace, sometimes in another workspace, sometimes in an application or else. What about just putting everything in a single page, in a single application? Finally, sometimes you need to present many KPIs in a single page. That's called a dashboard. A dashboard is the addition of all these different KPIs in a single page, and this is where there's the most interesting place where you will present many KPIs the same. So I have an example later, but basically your dashboard will be specific to an audience, will be specific to a meeting, will be specific to, say, an happening somewhere in your organization. Let's say we have this dashboard about the weekly production review. So in this weekly production review, there will be some tiles about capacity, sales, waste, but what about actual versus last year? So that's something that you can put in there. Production review, you may put the new one opportunities, let's say, and it's all fit there. So everything is in one place, and all these objects in the end adds up to make everything somebody needs. So the dashboard, yeah. So I'll go more deeper with the dashboard in a minute. So this concept of mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive, that comes from the consulting world. So when they create PowerPoint, every slide has to have a topic, and every topic is covered in the presentation. That's kind of the same thing that applies in Power BI. So next slide. Efficiency. We try to apply storytelling techniques to the whole app to make the navigation more efficient. So the key here is to reduce the clicks, the quantity of clicks between getting an overview, getting some interesting information, making a more in-depth analysis, and calling the actual person out of Power BI. So this idea would go like that, like this 3-act structure that comes from theater. So it go like that. Act number 1, we look at personalized dashboard. So let's say manager identify an indicator showing unfavorable results. We'll see an example later. So on the dashboard, when you click on it, that brings you to the report that drills there, and then you can sort, drill, filter to understand the problem, understand who did what. Let's say who is responsible of the thing that is not working well. Once you identify that person, then you take your phone, you give a call, and then you start talking about solving the problems in the actual world. And the idea is that this mix of dashboards and report to me was the most efficient way to move from overseeing all the KPIs, identifying what's wrong, what's going wrong, getting a better understanding and of that problem. So the idea, we count the clicks. How many clicks does it need to take a decision from opening PowerBI.com to having that meeting on act number 3? And because this is where the actual tangible value comes from. So that's it. So I think, yeah, so you have this little example here, an example of dashboard for CMO. You'll see that this dashboard is specialized only for marketing stuff, but we could add at some point some financial or other tiles. So the CMO may look at the new leads, the leads from marketing, the lead that was given to sales, and the actual opportunities that were created based on the lead provided. So the manager opened this dashboard. In a second, he look at high level. Is it going well versus budget versus last year? Look at the trends. Look at the composition, and then the variances. What is the composition of the variance? So we see that in a single page, you can get a lot of insights. And when you find something interesting, like let's say the quantity of leads converted into opportunity, which is the most important thing when you are marketing, is not going that well. And we see here there's one category that is not well at all. So you click, you get on the report, and then you may do some additional filters and then take a real action in the real world. So this is an example of dashboard that work quite well in real life. We are now at number 3, memorability. What we try to do, what we recommend is to always use default Power BI features to make your report easier to read, easier to understand. I know there's this Microsoft Marketplace where you can find like hundreds of great visuals. I'm not saying that they are not great. I'm just saying that for a common user, it would take them like 5-10 seconds to understand them because they are custom. While if you use the actual basic visual from Power BI, they understand it right away. And if all the reports present the same visuals and same format and same about the same way, so it makes it easier for your user to understand. They understand it once, and it's always the same in every pages. So that's kind of better. What I recommend all the times on each page, number 1, there has to be a filter, a title. I'm sorry, a title, which is not always the case. So that's something to think about. We need a visual that presents a summary. So the summary here, that's actual versus budget, and we see that this half moon presented well. We are there. The budget is there, so we are in advance, and that's great. So that's the high level summary of that KPI. Composition. So that's important to know the composition, and that composition I would always recommend to use field parameter. So as of now, I'm looking at the composition means this 184 that we see here is composed of income, COGS, and expenses. But we may flip it. We may flip it by customer, by category, by date, by country, province, services, whatever. But we may flip this composition. We may let the users decide how they want to see their these two visuals. So that one present the total based on 184, and that one present only the variance. So to have both is always important. So this field parameter is always important. What else? We have to make it easy to find who's the owner of what's going wrong. So somewhere in the perspective, you have to find names or group or something, because that's how in the end you make decisions. Or that's how you take your phone and you call the key person. I always put some details because people trust the data when they can trust the details. So I always try to make a mix of this. I let people drill to a more detailed page if ever they need it, but there are some details here. And finally, something new. By something new and not new, but we have Copilot that proposes narrative visuals. It's not for everybody. It's not everywhere. If you have some finance people in your team, or the finance people who needs to look at your report, that's always something they appreciate a lot, because this is their bread and butter to calculate to generate narrative based on that. Here, that's a financial statement. So yeah, so Copilot narrative is very insightful. Everything else may be put in the report too, but this is really the basic. Let's say 90% of what is required usually fit in these key visuals. So that's my 2 cents on it. Finally,
Joel, question for you about the drill down detail page that you have there. What is your take around wanting the pagination report? Do you think there's a better way to present it other than giving them the full view of the data?
Yeah, so here on that, the way I do it, on that visual, we see that there's only a 2 hierarchy. So there's income, and then there's this, I guess, that account type detail or level 2. No? If people wants to know more, I give them access to the whole data, say to the whole data set on another page. So if you want to see the actuals, the full actuals on another page, so what I do, I create one big table, and I let them use that's the field parameters, and I let them choose which field they want to add into this big visual. So that way, here we only stay top level, and on that secondary page, on that drill page, I let them choose which column with the field parameter they will see in their visuals. In their visual, it will always balance with what they just click, what they just right click here. So that's a good thing. And finally, I will provide them access to the filter, a lot of filter in the filter panel. The filter panel, I prefer 100% more the filter panel than to put the filters on the page, because at some point you don't really know what people will want to filter. Say if you got 10 users, yes, you may ask them, and maybe the filters they use usually can fit onto that yellow space here. But if you have more than 20 persons in your team that look at the report, you don't know how they will want to filter. You won't exactly know. So if you give them access to the filter on this page, you may put like 20, 30 filters, and if they don't use it, too bad. And if at some point during the year they need it, then it's there. And if ever there's a filter that they want, it's not there, that's just easy to just drop one additional filter, and it's not you don't have to change the design. You just have to throw it there, and it works.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Yep. I hope I answered your question.
So that's I guess the paginized report will be the third kind of tier, right? You have your summary, you have your first drill down level, kind of like what you're seeing here, and then the paginized report will be the third level, which is the detail level that you show.
So that's exactly this. So we see that in 3, 4, 5 clicks, you start from the summary high level. You select the tiles, you want some more details, you get there, it's already pre-filtered, just like what you just clicked. And then you may switch the field parameter, and then you find some more information, you click again, boom, and then you're in the big the full detail of that number. And from there, that should be enough. So you see that 5, 6 clicks, and you're all set. You started from a very high level, and you do the funnel to the lowest detail.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, next page, errors. We need to find a way to minimize the errors users do. And this one is very important. So let's propose tools that are adapted to your audience. What I see usually is reports by analyst for analyst. And in the end, there's quite nothing for management. So what I propose is to do the reverse. Let's start with what the management needs, and then based on their feedback, let's build the reports, and let's make your content evolve based on their feedbacks, instead of doing the opposite, creating report for analysts where they will probably take the data, dump it in Excel, dump it in a PowerPoint, and then make a presentation to the management. So your goal is very, that's very your goal, provide contents for the management. And the content that is the most adapted for them is by far, I think, the dashboard. The dashboard provides a static view of the different KPIs. They present a static view. It's always the same numbers. They cannot create errors by adding filters, and then they don't remember they added a filter, and they come back the next day, and it shows that in the end something that is not the good data, the good number. So that's why the dashboard always show the same static view of any KPIs. So you provide them for the monthly meeting. So it's always filter on the previous month. Something on this week meeting. It's on a weekly meeting. So it's always numbers they can rely on. So that's why management, I warmly recommend for you to provide them some dashboards. Usually, instead of dashboards, what I see often is people go in the report, they download in Excel, they make some manipulation, transformation, they put that in PowerPoint, and this is the PowerPoint that is given to the management. So we see that this cycle takes super long, and in the end, that may also generate some errors. So when you take it's longer, and the analyst or the advisor may do an error too during this transformation process, and it's recurring. So what's the point? Anyway, so dashboard for management. We try to keep the reports for the analysts and advisors. Some manager, director, VPs might get used to the report and know how to filters and make their own research. So that's awesome. They will always have the dashboard to balance out what they do. So if the dashboard says you've sold 10 million this month, let's say, when they look at the report, there's always that number to balance out what they do. And then to give access to the semantic model, the warehouse and the system, so we keep that to as less people as possible. There will always be room for analysts looking in the semantic model in the warehouse. Because we need to do experimentations. So everything that is non-recurring, yes, that's a very good idea to give access to the semantic model and the warehouse to your analyst and advisor. But for the reports that are recurring, then let's consider a dashboard and the underlying report. So yeah, so Power BI primary hard benefits is to automate reporting, not being a data extractor for Excel and PowerPoint. For recurring report, Power BI should be sufficient from manager to analysts. So it doesn't have to be that way, that you download in Excel and put into PowerPoint. It should be sufficient by itself. So that's my 2 cents on it. Next slide, satisfaction. Keep in touch with your user. Propose Viva Engage. It could be a team channel, could be many things, but a report when there's many people looking at it. Let's say if you have 5 people, 10 people looking at your report, maybe to have a chat at the coffee machine is sufficient to have feedbacks. At some point, if you have 100 users or 200 users, you need to communicate many things like what's new, what's not working right now. The users might provide some ideas. Let us know about the bugs, because it happens. So Viva Engage is good because there's this chat box here, and it generates posts a bit like a Facebook group. So people throw their ideas, their thoughts, their bugs, their feedbacks, anything, and the developer may share the release note and the system status. There's a link to SharePoint. It's always a good idea to share your PBIX files in there. If you have a big team, let's say you have hundreds of users, some of them are curious, they want to understand how it is built, so it's not a bad thing to let them know. Some of them might want to experiment and to add some more data in there, so it's good for them to start with a strong foundation. And if ever it has to, if ever what they do is good, then you copy the what they just did, you add it to your own PBIX, and then you have a new functionality. So you let the community generate new reports and new contents and new ways to look at your data. So that's the idea, to share the PBIX. You may also, on Viva Engage, there's also the planner. So that's a good thing to let know. You may let know your user the planning of future release, and you may do some live events. So I found that Viva Engage is a pretty interesting way to have that discussion with your users, as it's a very complete solution. It's a very that's a very interesting solution for that. If you do that, then if feedbacks drive agility and new developments, there will always be that kind of discussion about who will pay for it. So you see where I'm going. Usually in the organization, the development is very decentralized. So every team has their own Power BI developer, and this is how this is how things evolve. If we start to manage the user experience, we see that we start to concentrate the development. We do report once and for all and for everybody. So in the end, the budget has to be repatriated there in some ways. At least that will be a subject. So I'm just throwing you that idea there, that if you want to manage your user experience, that will be something to think about at some point. Yeah, so that's the five component of usability I wanted to show you. I have few ideas about. Earlier this year, a new goal was set for developers. It is to generate a great user experience with Copilot. So in the past, people would consume their report with the Power BI standard report, the dashboards, and now this user experience has to be enriched with Copilot. Maybe it's not required. It's not required everywhere for now. I don't think so. No, it's not everybody that has a Fabric anyway. But at some point it will be required. So my 2 cents on it. By default, Copilot is dumb. Like here, it's in the demonstration seems easy, and it says, "Hey, Copilot, summarize my sales trend based on the Adventure Work sales report." So that's the prompt made here, and then Copilot generate this this summary and this graph. There's a link to the report, and we have to, and the answer, it always make it precise that AI generated content may be incorrect. So your job is to help Copilot to become more correct, more intelligent. The way it works, we see that in the prompt, it says, based on this report, Adventure Work sales, summarize my trend. So the developer needs to feed Copilot with good Power BI objects to make it more intelligent. So a good UX for humans foster a more insightful Copilot. If you have 10 pages where you can find an answer to sales trend, then Copilot is likely to give you a dumb answer. If you got 1 page that talk about sales trend, then that should be easier. Same thing for everything. So all we saw before is more relevant than ever with Copilot. If it's complicated for a new user to find the good information in your report, it's likely that Copilot won't be able to generate content that is correct. So that's my 2 cents on that one. That's my 2 cents, and then here's my 5 cents on it. 2030, as Copilot gradually replace Power BI reports as the favorite way users consume their internal data, the management of users' experience gets even more sophisticated and important. So for the reasons I mentioned before, if your content is not clear for a regular user, it won't be clear for Copilot neither. So it has to be organized at every level, not just in the semantic model, but also in the reports themselves. I created this little graph that is based on my emotions. So you take whatever you want, take what you want about it. Back in 2011, life was easy. If you were to consume data, it was based on Excel. And then came 2015, we start with Power BI, and at some point, and I would say like probably right now, Power BI, at least in my heart, is a favorite way to consume data. So Power BI is bigger than Excel, at least in the organization I work. So I guess that generated that perception. And now 2025 starts that Copilot thing. So for now, that's very small. It's as small as Power BI was in 2015. But at some point, is it 2030, 2035? I don't know. But what I know it's that it is likely to become the big thing at some point in the future, like bigger than Power BI. Excel will remain. Excel will remain forever. Power BI will remain, but Copilot will just grow bigger and bigger. And what Copilot is intelligent, but there's some limits to this intelligence. The limits to this intelligence is our job to manage. So, in conclusion, what UX implies, all we said is UX is more about communication, more about change management, more about decision-making process than about technology. We have to be clear what is where. In the end, if you implement UX, if you manage your user experience, there should be less reports in your organizations because there's less duplicates, and there should be more sophisticated reports. So like RLS, say if you have one report for many teams, maybe you have RLS in there, and maybe you have just more filters in there, but that's still less reports. And if you implement user experience management, there should be less developers and more testers because it's more sophisticated. It requires more testers. And in the end, there should be less self-service and more governed content. So does it make sense? Does it look like that in your organizations? Just asking a question. You may ask any questions you want. I'm there for that.
Very interesting that about the self-serve and the governed content part. Based on what you mentioned about the Copilot, wouldn't there be more self-serving with your governed content in that case? How do you see that trend moving along there, Joel?
As we saw, Copilot here, when we ask a question to Copilot asks for a context, and this context is a report that is already created. But it could also be no context at all, like summarize my sales trend and do not mention any workspace or any report or any semantic model. You can do that. Answers are just awful when you don't make it precise. When you don't make it precise based on what report. So it may evolve at some point in time, but for now, if your report is not very clear about what it is and what it is not, you're likely not to have a satisfying answer. So that's why that's why you have to build a good report before Copilot works well. At least
That makes
based on my
sense.
experience, and maybe you have other experiences, but
No,
to
it's interesting thought exercise there. That's all.
yeah.
Yeah, my organization is trying to roll more into the Power BI space as we're starting in the Fabric journey there. So it's interesting to learn the UX experience that you're sharing here.
Mhm. And let's add that if Copilot becomes a requirement at some point for any Power BI projects, that makes it unlikely that that self-service thing will continue to grow and grow and grow. At some point, we will ask IT department to generate a good Copilot experience. And this good
Oh,
Copilot experience will come only, it has no chance to happen if the reports are not well done and centralized.
interesting.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was really interesting what you were saying about storytelling and how you started down the storytelling path. And then with the role of having to train Copilot and AI tools to then take over the storytelling aspect to the end users, are we getting into a role where the developers need to come up with good stories to train the Copilot to then retell better stories for the users?
for now, what I saw is that Copilot only read through report pages. I did not see Copilot reading through dashboards. At least it was, if you subscribe to a dashboard, you cannot even ask Copilot to give a summary of the page.
Okay.
So that's why this focus I proposed before, I think that was the first page, that one here, to have mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive content becomes even more important with Copilot. So
Yeah.
Copilot, if it has to give you an answer, it has to be based on something that is great, not on something that is partial or that is merged with something else that is unrelated. So if you have one page that is the new leads, let's say, and you ask a question about new leads to Copilot, that's clear. Boom, it gets there, and you'll find the answer there. Yeah, so I think this principle gets even more important than before.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. Um, and there might be places where we have to change our design principles, because we can't just assume that it's a human reading the dashboards or a human reading the reports to get meaning from them. So things like titles and clearly labeling your axes, etc., become even more important.
Absolutely. For Copilot, they always propose to add some more synonyms and some more. You may pick the columns you want in the report. I did not saw an improvement of the experience as big as just creating very clear reports to one indicator, one KPI per page, as I propose here. So the big thing to me was this.
So the design principles that are good for people are also good for AI.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
that's
thank
good
you.
news.
Yeah, very good news.
I guess I guess they won't see as much interest to replace us in the future as we already speak the same language as the machine. So,
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
all right. Thank you. So if you have any other question in the future, do not hesitate to join me. I'm on LinkedIn. I invite you if you'd like to discuss some more about your situation in your organization or else. I'll always be happy to have that discussion. Let's continue on LinkedIn or else.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Yep, a pleasure. And thank you for the invitation. It was a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh, it's always great to see insights into how to use the tools and how to use, based on experience. Yeah, thank you.